Hey y'all, it's Agu here, and today we're going to be talking about Andrew Creepy Cuomo. If y'all have not heard by now, I'm sure y'all have heard by now that Andrew Cuomo has been accused of sexual harassment, and the probe, like the investigation, has concluded that he has sexually harassed multiple women, and that the workplace was not a good environment for women to work in. Now, that's putting it very lightly. I'm going to show you guys an article about the investigation, and then we're going to go through the accusations. There's an article that has portrayed the specific accusation that has explained them. All right, let's get to it then. So here's the article. New York AP. An investigation found that Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women in and out of state government and worked to retaliate against one of his accusers. New York Attorney General announced Tuesday in a finding that quickly announced renewed calls for the Democrats' resignation or impeachment. Cuomo remained defiant Tuesday following the investigation's findings, saying that the facts are much different than what has been portrayed, appearing to reject calls to resign. Nearly 5-month investigation found that Cuomo's administration was a hostile work environment and was rife with fear and intimidation. The probe, conducted by 2 outside lawyers, involved interviews with 179 people, including Cuomo's accusers, current and former administration employees in the government itself. So 179 people, and the conclusion was that the hostile work environment and rife with fear and intimidation. I think it's true. I mean, they say it's true, so it is true. There's no I think. So he did sexually harass multiple women, and I think he should step down for sure, or at least get impeached, because we can't have people like that in positions of power. They should be in jail. Employment lawyer Ann Clark, who led the probe with former U.S. Attorney June Kim, said they found 11 accusers to be credible, noting the allegations were corroborated to varying degrees, including by other witnesses and contemporaneous text messages. Okay. These interviews and pieces of evidence revealed a deeply disturbing and clear picture. Governor Cuomo sexually harassed current and former state employees in violation of federal state laws, New York Attorney General Letitia James said at a press conference on Tuesday. So it's no longer a question if he did or didn't. He did. In the investigation findings, detailed in a 165-page public report, turn up the pressure on the 63-year-old governor, who just a year ago was widely hailed for his steady leadership during the darkest days of COVID-19 crisis, even writing a book about it. He didn't do that great with COVID-19 when it comes to nursing homes at all. A lot of people died because of his mishandling of that situation. So I don't think he did well at all for COVID-19 overall. Since then, he's seen his standing crumble with a drumbeat of harassment allegations, questions, and a separate ongoing inquiry into whether the state resources went into writing the book, using state money, of course, to write the book, and the discovery that his administration concealed the true number of nursing home deaths during the outbreak, because he screwed up, and I think he sent people back to nursing homes too early, and thus a lot of people died. Though James' investigation concluded without any referrals to criminal prosecutors, local authorities could decide to use its evidence and findings to mount their own cases. The report is also expected to play an important role in an ongoing inquiry in the state assembly into whether there are grounds for Cuomo to be impeached. I think he should either resign or be impeached. Someone who sexually harasses women should not be in the positions of power. They should be in jail. Right? That should be punished. It should never be allowed or rewarded. Several of Cuomo's accusers demanded swifter action, calling on the governor to leave office immediately. Some Democratic and Republican state lawmakers joined them, along with one-time Cuomo allies including county executives and leaders of left-leaning political groups. Resign at New York Governor Cuomo, accused Charlotte Bennet tweeted. On at least one occasion, the investigation found, Cuomo and his senior staff worked to retaliate against a former employee who accused him of wrongdoing. Cuomo's also found to have harassed women outside of the government, the investigation found. The report detailed for the first time allegations that Cuomo sexually harassed a female state trooper on a security detail. It is said that the governor ran his hand and fingers across her stomach and back and kissed her on the cheek, asked for her help in finding a girlfriend, and asked why she didn't wear a dress. Sorry, I'm yawning. What a creep. Like, this is some predator type behavior. Like, what's wrong with this dude? No concept of personal space or respect for another person. Especially for a woman, I should say. What's wrong with this guy? Who does that to a woman? God. And he's a governor of New York? This is terrible. Just terrible. The report also included an allegation from a woman who worked for an energy company who said Cuomo touched her inappropriately at an event. The woman said Cuomo ran his fingers across the lettering on the shirt. He seems to touch people a lot, even when they're not comfortable with it. Reading the name of a company aloud, then he leaned in and said, I'm going to say I see a spider on your shoulder, and brushed his hand in between her shoulder and breast, the report said. I know that Cuomo said that, in my culture, Italian culture, is very common to touch and, kiss each other's cheeks. Okay, one, not every culture is the same, so you got to respect the fact that people don't want to, that in our culture, people don't like being touched by, especially by strangers like that. Family members and friends, okay, but not strangers. And two, you should ask the woman if they're comfortable with it before you go and do it. You can't just assume that they're doing it. And he's being accused of more than just touching inappropriately. He's also been said some terrible shit, but we'll get to that later. These brave women step forward to speak the truth into power, and in doing so they express faith in the belief that although the government may be powerful, the truth is even more so, Cuomo said at the press conference. Well said. Cuomo faced multiple allegations last winter that he inappropriately touched and sexually harassed women who worked with him, or who he met at public events. One aide in his office said he groped her breast. Another, Lindsey Boylan, said Cuomo kissed her on the lips after meeting her in his office. He would go out of his way to touch me on my lower back, arms, and legs. Okay. Kissing on the lips, that's just a big no-no. And he seems very touchy, like more than that's polite. Like you can touch someone's shoulder or their hand, but again, it's whatever that person's comfortable with. It's about consent, and he clearly did not ask these women's consent. Or he just assumed that they would like it or something. After Boylan first made her allegations public in December, the Cuomo administration undercut her story by releasing personal memos to media outlets revealing that Boylan resigned after she was confronted about complaints she belittled and yelled at her staff. Okay, so she might have belittled and yelled at her staff, but that doesn't change the fact that Cuomo sexually harassed her. Boylan said those records were leaked to the media in an effort to smear me. Yep. Other aides have said that the governor asked them unwelcome personal questions about sex and dating. One former aide, Charlotte Bennet, said Cuomo asked if she was open to sex with an older man. I don't know in what culture that's okay, Cuomo, to do that. I don't think any culture, hopefully no good cultures, I'll say no good cultures will ever be open to that. That's insane. Oh my god, this guy's a creepo. Fucking my creepometer is going like to 100 right now. This guy's weird. Should definitely not be in power, that's for sure. Some suffer through unwanted touching and grabbing of their most intimate body parts. Others suffer through repeated offensive, sexually suggestive or gender-based comments, Kim said on Tuesday. A number of them endured both. None of them welcomed it, and all of them found it disturbing, humiliating, uncomfortable, and inappropriate. Yeah, so the biggest issue is he's done things to people that they don't want. No respect for the consent at all, Cuomo. That's basically what I'm getting from all this. In an 11-hour interview with investigators last month, Cuomo admitted to certain behavior while denying other allegations, investigators said. For example, Clark said he conceding asked Skip Bennet whether she had been involved with the older men and said he may have kissed a state trooper at an event but denied touching her. So what? You kissed her like this. So this is how you kissed her. Like this, right? Without touching her. You just sort of... Okay, sure, buddy, sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay, sure, buddy. And admitting that you kissed a state trooper doesn't make it any better. I mean, and then denying that you didn't touch it doesn't make it any better for you, Cuomo. It makes it look worse. Because you're clearly lying about not touching her, because unless you did, like, kiss her like that, like I showed, there's no way you did kiss her like that. And all the other women have said that you've touched them inappropriately. So, but you didn't touch her inappropriately? Okay, buddy. Okay. Asked about an allegation that he grabbed a woman's breast at the executive mansion, according to the report, Cuomo responded, I would have to lose my mind to do such a thing to a woman he hardly knew, with multiple staff members around. Last winter, there was a chorus of calls for Cuomo's resignation from many top elected Democrats in New York, including 2 U.S. Senators Chuck Schumer and Kristen Gillibrand. But Cuomo refused to quit and has been raising money for a fourth term in office. His position on the allegations has also hardened into one of defiance. Cuomo always denied touching anyone inappropriately, but he initially said he was sorry. if his behavior with women was misinterpreted as unwanted flirtation. In the recent months, he's taken more combative tactics. He did nothing wrong and questioning the motives of accusers and critics. So he said sorry and then he switched tactics. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's something fishy there, Cuomo. Because if you were being honest, you would have said, okay, I'm sorry. I should have known better, and I will make up for this something. You should have, something like that. But no, now you're backtracking off your initial apology and saying, oh, no, I didn't do anything wrong. Maybe because he wants to, win his election, so he's trying to deny these things. He's also questioned the neutrality of the lawyers hired by the Attorney General to investigate the allegations. Kim was involved in previous investigations of corruption by people in Cuomo's administration when he was a federal prosecutor in Manhattan. Cuomo hasn't expressly said why he believes that would make Kim biased. I mean, it proves that Kim is a good lawyer then, doesn't it? Not that he's particularly biased. And Cuomo, you are corrupt. I mean, you hid the numbers of the amount of people that died in nursing homes. That's corruption. So that's not biased. He just knows who you are. A bad person. You sexually harass women. You lie about the number of people that died in nursing homes, and then you send people back earlier than they should be back in nursing homes and get them killed. And then you hide the numbers. And then you write a book about being really good with COVID-19. Like, you're not a good person, you're corrupt, and you're a sexual harasser, predator, what do you want to call it. That's what you are. So he's not biased. He just knows who you are. The hours leading to James' announcement, Cuomo's office issued numerous press releases, including the completion of mixed-use housing in Buffalo plans to build a $3.9 billion terminal at Kennedy Airport, and JetBlue's decision to keep its headquarters in New York. As James was speaking, Cuomo's publicist sent out a release about reclaiming the sites of old power plants. Okay, so I don't really understand why they put this in the article. Maybe y'all do. The Assembly hired its own legal team to investigate Cuomo's conduct, plus other allegations of wrongdoing. The legislature is looking into the help Cuomo got from senior aides to write a book about the pandemic, special access that Cuomo's relatives got to COVID-19 testing last year, so nepotism, and the administration's decision to withhold some data on nursing home deaths from the public for several months. So yes, Cuomo, you are corrupt, so Kim is not biased. Some members of the Judiciary Committee have said that they expect James' report to be critical for the impeachment investigation. New York State regulations say sexual harassment includes unwelcome conduct of a sexual nature, from unwanted flirtation to sexual jokes that creates an offensive work environment, regardless of the perpetrator's intent. Bingo. The governor, in contrast, has repeatedly argued that he did not intend to harass. Okay, intent doesn't matter. If you're not asking the other person's consent, and they're feeling very uncomfortable, well, your intent doesn't matter, because you are sexually harassing them. If you're a good person, you'll ask, hey, are you okay with me touching you, and you okay with this? It's that simple. You just ask the consent. It's not difficult, but you didn't because you felt like you didn't have to. Maybe you felt like you had a lot of power, so you could get away with it. Maybe you felt like the women would like it because you view yourself as some sort of, I don't know, Casanova or something. Like, I don't know, whatever his mindset was, it's still wrong. So it's not the intent really, it's the result in this case. His office said he took the state-mandated sexual harassment training but has not provided any documentation proving he did. He probably didn't. He'll probably just say he did because he can't prove it. Cuomo championed a landmark 2019 state law that made it easier for sexual harassment victims to prove their case in court. Alleged victims no longer have to meet the high bar of proving sexual harassment is severe and pervasive. That's a good law, but the fact that he's such a hypocrite. This shows to me that Cuomo is just fake, corrupt, and a sexual predator. That's basically how I look at it. And to me, that's how it is. Okay, so let's look at the next article. And this is the specifics about the accusations. Like, these are the specific accusations that the women who came forward with, So let's read this article. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is facing allegations that he sexually harassed or behaved inappropriately towards women who worked with him. Now that includes two current staffers in his office. One of them, Alyssa Mcgrath, came forward Friday in a report in the New York Times. So we already know this part. We've already read this in the first article, so I'll just skip right here. Okay, let's look at the workplace allegations in the order they became public. So this is chronologically done. I think this is done really well. Lindsey Boylan, 36, a former state economic developer advisor, says the governor kissed her on the lips as she was leaving a one-on-one meeting in his office and suggested playing strip poker on a state plane. What? Oh my god. Cuomo says both stories are false. Among other allegations, Cuomo summoned her alone into his office after a holiday party and made what she took to be a reference to former President Bill Clinton's affair with White House intern Monica Lewinsky. I mean, President Bill Clinton said, "Oh, I did not have sexual relations with that woman." I mean, that was a bad Bill Clinton impersonation, I know, but he did say that. And guess what happened? Well, he did. So just because someone says they don't doesn't mean that they do. That they're being honest. You know. The governor also sent a Valentine's Day roses to Boylan and other female staffers. She said, like, either he's incredibly socially inept at understanding consent and people's comfort, and that's a very charitable interpretation, or he's a guy who doesn't care about consent and just wants to, I don't know, get his rocks off by being creepy to women. The former is not much better than the latter. He's a creep, basically. Charlotte Bennet, 25, a former Cuomo aide, said the governor asked her about her love life, including whether she's ever had sex with older men. We've read this in the first article, and talked about his own, saying the age differences don't matter in relationships, and he was open to dating women over 22. Holy Jesus. He got away with it so long. Disgusting. God damn, bro. This is making me cringe. It's really hard to read this. During a meeting alone in his office, the governor said he was lonely and talked about wanting to hug someone, Bennet said. Oh my god. She said she swiftly complained to Cuomo's chief of staff and was transferred to another job. She said she spoke to a lawyer for the governor but didn't insist on further action because she liked her new post and wanted to move on. Yeah, because coming it out with it in public and you'll get a lot of harassment, you'll probably get death threats, a lot of attention from the media. Not everybody wants that, you know. Some people are very, don't want that. And that's fair, but it's really sad. Anna Liss, 35, a former aide, said Cuomo asked her whether she had a boyfriend, once kissed her hand at the desk, and called her by patronizing names including Blondie, Sweetheart, and Honey. Yeah, like, come on, like, you gotta ask people if they're comfortable with it. It's just that simple. God damn. At a reception, the governor hugged her and then put his arm around her lower back and waist as they posed for a photo, Liss said. She said she eventually asked for a job transfer. In an interview, Liss said she was not claiming sexual harassment per se, but felt the administration wasn't a safe place for young women to work. Well, it definitely doesn't sound like a safe place for young women to work, for sure. Karen Hinton, who worked for Cuomo when he was Clinton's federal housing secretary in the 1990s. Oh, he's associated with Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton. And Bill Clinton. What a surprise. And he's a sexual predator. Yeah. Birds of a feather flock together, as they say. So he was the housing secretary in the 90s and said Cuomo gave an overly long and intimate hug after calling her to his hotel room for a conversation that turned into personal topics on a trip where she was serving as a consultant to the housing agency. Cuomo said Hinton's account was not true. God, so he has a pattern of being way too sexual with his female staffers and not asking for consent and touching them inappropriately. A member of Cuomo's staff alleged that he closed the door, reached under her blouse, and fondled her after summoning her to the governor's mansion in Albany for help with his cell phone. According to the Times Union of Albany, the newspaper did name the woman who said she told Cuomo to stop groping her and that he had touched and flirted with her previously. Times Union's reporting is based on an unidentified source with the direct knowledge of the woman's accusation. The woman recently told a supervisor at least one of her bosses reported the allegation to a lawyer for the governor this month, according to the newspaper. Cuomo called the reporter gut-wrenching in a statement and said, "I've never done anything like this." Alyssa Mcgrath, the current administration assistant in Cuomo's office, told the New York Times that he looked down her shirt, quizzed her about her marital status, and told her she was beautiful, using an Italian phrase that she has to ask her parents and interpret. Is it bellissima? Something like that. Bro, what's wrong with this guy? It's like he feels like he's entitled. He can do that to any woman because I am Governor Andrew Cuomo. Mcgrath didn't say the government made sexual contact with her, but thought his behavior was sexual harassment for sure. Like, he's definitely harassing her with a sexual undertone. Not even an undertone. I think that's an overtone. Like, there's no interpretation there, whether it's sexual or not. So you recall Cuomo kissing on the forehead and gripping her firmly around the sides while posing for a photo at the 2019 office Christmas party. Cuomo's lawyer, Rita Gavin, responded by reiterating his denials of inappropriate advances and touching. She told the Times that he had greeted both men and women with hugs and kisses on the cheek, had put his arm around people for photos, and uses such Italian phrases, ciao bella, hi beautiful, or bye beautiful, though she said he didn't say that to Mcgrath. None of this is remarkable, although it may be old-fashioned. Okay, if it was just hugging and kissing, okay, maybe you could make that argument. Even then, it's not appropriate to do that without someone's consent. But it's more than that. Have you heard the stuff he said, asking people about whether they like older guys or whether they have a boyfriend that, you know, he asked one of them to help him get a girlfriend. It's like he's saying very inappropriate things as well, and he's touched them inappropriately. He's like across their stomach, lower back, kissing a woman on the lips, touching their legs. Like that. This is not okay. This is not simple greeting. This is sexual harassment. He's obviously doing that in a very sexual manner, in a way that those women are not comfortable with. And because of the power differential, they might be scared to come out against him. This is all types of wrong. And this is not even the only wrong thing that Cuomo's done. He's not just a sexual predator. He's also corrupt because he hid the numbers of the COVID-19 nursing home deaths for the public for a few months. Lied. I mean, it was kind of a lie of omission, basically, right? And not only that, he wrote a book of how great he did with COVID-19, even though he knew he didn't. He might have used state funds to write that book. So yes, he is corrupt, and he's also a sexual predator. So this argument is weak as hell, and I hope he gets impeached or taken, like, just what do you call it? He just resigns. Well, that's about it. That's all I gotta say. So if y'all like the video, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell button if you want to be notified for whenever I post. That's it. See you guys on the next video.